Hi beautifuls, thanks for joining me. In today's video I am going to take you through the Natasha Denona Retro palette. This palette I was going to totally pass on, but so many people that I chat with had told me that they'd got this palette and really loved it, and I thought they like similar things to me when it comes to makeup. Maybe it is a palette I need to grab. So did get this palette. It retails for $65 US, and in this video I'm going to share with you swatches of this palette. At the very end of the video I'm going to actually share some comparisons to my Norvina palette, to some similar shades, just looking at the two palettes together. I'm going to create this eye look and one other look, so if you're interested in seeing that, just keep watching. Thanks for joining me, guys. My name is Ange and I just love sharing all things beauty and lifestyle as I navigate my more mature years, and I just love sharing that, sharing the new goodness that I get, sharing things that I discover along the way and my experiences, and sharing that with you. If you enjoy content like that, please consider subscribing by clicking on the subscribe button down below. Give the video a thumbs up to let me know that you like this sort of content, and don't forget to click on the notification bell so that YouTube lets you know each time I upload a video. I do upload videos on a weekly basis. There's going to be a few bonus videos over the next couple of weeks, as there is just so much that's coming out in beauty at the moment, and I do want to share those with you. Now, the Natasha Denona Retro palette, I, for a start, love this size of eyeshadow palette from Natasha Denona. The palettes that she originally came out with, not the huge 28 pans, there's no way I could afford those. They were between $300 and $400 here in New Zealand. But the other palettes that retail for $129, that does put them up to around the $200 mark here in New Zealand. But these midi size palettes at $65 US are so much more within reach for around $115, and they are smaller, which I appreciate, because there is no way in heck that I'm going to get through the pan sizes in the larger palette. I'm not going to get through these because I have so many eyeshadow palettes. I do appreciate the fact that the palettes come with these holes in the back that you can pop out and rearrange your palette into any way you want, or pop them out, put them in a wee travel size palette. But I just think the size of these are just perfect anyway. I was going to pass on this palette, guys. I thought it was too purpley, too mauvey, that I wasn't going to enjoy it as much, because I'm really a neutrals girl. However, so many of you guys had said that you had purchased it and absolutely loved it. I started getting a little bit of FOMO, thinking, what am I missing out on? And so I picked it up. I was confused, along with many other people, with the fact that this was called the Retro palette, because I love my mini retro palette. Absolutely love this, and I particularly love the green because it's a different shade to what I would normally reach for. Now, I've done a look with this palette. I will leave a link up in the box here. I love this palette, but to me, as with everybody else, I mean, okay, the outside packaging is similar, but what's on the inside is very different. If you had thoughts in your head of what the retro was going to look like, this isn't what I would have had in mind. The pinks in here are more peachy toned. The greens in here are beautiful, and we ended up with a mauvey palette. I have to say, I'm not mad at it. I think this is a gorgeous palette regardless. Now, I have heard that Natasha has said that this is just a start of what she plans on introducing in the retro palette line. So maybe next time round we do get more of the greens, we do get more of the peachy pinks. But this is still a wonderful curation of shades in a palette, regardless of whether it is called the retro or not. Natasha Denona Retro palette is a midi-sized eyeshadow palette with 15 burgundy and mauve shades combined with grey browns, taupes, dusty rose and vintage pinks. Now when it comes to what they say about the metallics, I do have to agree. Having mature eyes, it does not accentuate the crinkles and the texture on my eyelids when I'm using the shimmers. They just look beautiful. There are some eyeshadows that I can use that are shimmers that maybe aren't of the same quality, and they do look like it is texture on a mature eye rather than the shimmer or texture in the actual eyeshadow. So these are perfect if you like those shimmers, you like some glitz, and you have a mature eye. I can highly recommend the Natasha Denona formulation. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into the two eyeshadow looks that I create using this palette. So getting into this gorgeous palette, I have set my eyes with the Mario Master Eye Prep and Set, and I'm going to go in with this really light shade here called Mod, and it is the palest pink. And I'm going lash line to brow just to give myself a really nice light base. And I'm taking that, seeing it's a nice light shade, I'm going to take that right in the hollow that I have here, which is always a little bit on the dark side. And something new is the colour of my hair. I went to a different hairdresser to maybe have my highlights redone, and I showed her all the photos of me dark and blonde and said just do what you would like to do, and this is how I came home. It's a little bit dark at the moment, but it will lighten due to the highlights I do have in my hair, so I'm sure it will settle down into a colour that I'm really happy with. It's a lot to get used to when you've been light for a while. Okay, so Mod all over the eyelid. I'm going to keep my R37 Morphe brush. I haven't really had a really good look at this palette. I've been so busy, I just popped it aside. Let's go in with a nude mauve or nude mauve, and we will use that as our transition. So always with my transition. Now I can't really be too adventurous with my eye colours or the way I apply my eyeshadow due to the fact that I do have hooded and downturned eyes, mature eyes. I don't feel comfortable going and doing different techniques. I've got down pat the technique that suits my eye shape, and that is unfortunately what you get in my videos, but it's what works for me. So I'm going in, this was quite pigmented, going in the outer corner with nude mauve, and just in the outer portion of the eye, very pigmented, and I'm just blending that in the outer portion with little circular motions, but keeping it in that sort of V shape. I say V shape because on a normal non-hooded eye that is the shape you go for when doing your eyeshadow. My V goes up a bit higher so that when I look straight ahead you can still see that shade. So I start where anybody would start, just in this outer corner on the lid. Then I blend upwards, making sure that I can see that colour when I look straight ahead. Good mirror on this too. Nice mirror. In fact, it's easier than using the one I've got down in front. Okay, so building on that colour, just adding a little bit at a time. I prefer to go in lightly and add layers rather than go in with a big dark patch that I have trouble blending. And so now I'm going to slowly take that in this orbital bone area, sort of following, so that shadow I was talking about inside my nose here, it gives the shape that would be an ideal eye shape to try and create. So I'm just blending that in that area. And I probably have not blended very well because it looks, and that'll be me because I've concentrated on one area. So let's get that blended. Oh, it's actually my extra skin by the look of it. Okay, and into that transition crease line. And I'm just using little circular motions with the brush, blending that all out. Just blowing it out. Now I'm actually liking that look a lot more with the shades than I actually anticipated with this palette. Now I think what I will do, I will go more red in this look. So I'm going to take Rebellion and I'm going to tap that in the outer corner. And as I normally do, I'm just tapping and dragging up, following the line we've done before of the outer edge, and then I'm just going to slowly, with little circular motions, because I'm a bit scared to build it up too dark, and I'm going to do little circular motions to blend that inwards. Okay, so that's Rebellion added to the outer edge on both sides, and I'm now just going to take the first blending brush and soften the edges. I'm going to go in a little bit more with Nude Mauve with that same brush and just add it to that top portion. And blending it up and out. Going back with my outer V brush and Rebellion again, I'm going to run that right under the eye against the lash line in the outer of my eye, connecting that up. Taking a little Morphe brush, Morphe M456, I'm going to take Go-Go and just buff that in the under eye. Going back with Rebellion and just tapping in that outer corner near the bottom. On the lower lid, I'm happy to keep the nude mauve at the top. So just blending that up a little ways. Wow, really am shocked at how much I like these shades. Going back in with our blending brush and then just softening the edges. Like so. Right, we will do a shimmery shade, will we? We'll do a little bit of a shimmery shade. Let's go with Glitz. I'm not even going to use a brush. I'll use one of my Anastasia brushes. So I'm going to use Glitz and I'm going to just put that in the inner part of the eye because I really like that matte, to be fair. And I'm just going to add this in the center. Do I keep going? Why not? Okay, I was going to keep mod, but I'll keep going with Glitz and pop that on the lid, on the inner portion of the lid. I'm waiting for my Pat McGrath order to arrive because I would really love to be trying these shimmers with the flash pen that comes to help with glitters, but that's gone on really, really well. Going back in with my little brush out of V brush with no extra product, and I'm just going to try and blend everything in so it's not a harsh line. Back into the crease. And that is the look. I'm going to add some eyeliner. Let's go with Perpetrator from Fenty. So I'm just going to use that in my waterline. And the outer little bit of my eye, under eye, I'm just going to pop it in the corner and flick it up just in that corner. And then I'm going to take the outer V brush and smudge that. Just flicking it up and dragging it under, just in that corner. Just last little blending. And boom. Okay, for a purple look, I quite like that. I've done it really quite purpley. I'm going to play with other shades. I definitely want to try the taupey shades in here. For this next look, I have primed my eyes with the Mario Prep and Set Eyes. I've gone in with this light shade Mod. I really like that. I'm actually quite surprised at how much I like this shade. It's a very pale pinky white shade, but I just really, really like it. Okay, I'm going to go in with the shade Vivian as our transition shade this time. And once again, I'm still sticking to my Morphe R37. Sit up straight, girl. And this is a little bit on the lilac-y side for a transition shade. Doesn't appear it in the pan, so more of a cooler pale pink. And just taking that into the socket line from the bottom of my eyebrow here out to the edge, just using window shield wiper type actions, and then going in with little circular motions as well. So that is very much a lilac-y pastel-y colour. I'm going to do things a little bit back to front at the moment, just to try some different colours. I'm going to go in with the shade Hello on my lid, and I'm going to use the flat shader end of my Anastasia brush that you get in palettes, and I'm going to pop that all over my lid, and that's very pigmented. So just trying something just a little bit different, but just doing it in a different order really. That would actually be quite a nice one and done look. Easy to apply and blend. So I'm taking that up to that socket line with this flat shader, and then I'm going to go back in with our R37 with no extra colour, and then I'm just going to softly blend the edges and blending it upwards. I'm going to go in with Swing. Now this is does look like it's got a bit of shimmer to it, but we will try it. Just make sure I've got all the colour off my brush I'm going to use, and go in with Swing. I'm going to tap that in the outer corner of the eye. It's a nice shade. Now I've just tapped that in the outer corner. I'm going to lift up my eyebrow and make sure I get that little gap under my eye to my under lash line, and going up a little bit higher this time and tapping that in the outer edge, just tapping the colour on. Now whereas the other colour I used was more of a reddy purple or reddy burgundy, this is just quite a nice purple shade. So I'm going to go back in with our shading brush and then just slowly just blend the top of that, taking it into the inside. And so now you can see by tapping this higher up the outer edge, not just to where my crease is. When I look straight ahead, you can still see that dark outer colour just here, which is what I want. Now if you want to, you can blend here a little bit more just to soften the line running up as well. That's totally up to you. Now I'm going to go in with this really glittery shade called Psychedelic, and it's actually quite, I would have said it's quite chunky, but it's not. And I'm going to lay that on the inner portion of my eye with my finger. Wow, wow. So I could have left it with no bling, but we're playing with a palette, so let's go bling. I'm just going to take a brush now and just make sure I've got it everywhere I want it. Might take it into just the inner corner here, just to give a bit of brightness. Okay, so going back to our outer V brush, let's go with Go Go, which is more of a warm shade in the palette. And I'm just going to run that under my eye, right across, just at the lash line. That is a really nice soft colour. Let's try a purple shade. This is Colourpop's No Shame in a gel liner. And I am just going to smudge that into my bottom lash line. And waterline. Take our smudge brush again and just smudge that. And flicking it into that corner to make sure we're covered. I'm going to line with my waterline the same shade in the upper waterline. I am going to take the shade Opart, and just to change up the outer corner, I'm going to tap that just in the very, very outer edge. Back in with our shading brush and just shading that in. That is the second look using the Retro palette. It does seem like quite a monochromatic palette, but I think by mixing it with other palettes I have from Natasha Denona, I'm really looking forward to trying these taupey shades and seeing how they look. But I wanted to go a bit bolder with this look, and I'm rather impressed. Quite like it. Pigmented, easy to blend. I did have a bit of issue here at the beginning, but that was my fault because I just kept concentrating on the one place. It blended out beautifully. I am happy that I got this, considering I was planning on skipping this palette completely. I am really happy with that. Looking forward to trying lots more looks with it. I have got another video coming up where I'm going to use this palette. It was a request for somebody going to a wedding in the wedding party, and she wanted to utilize this palette. So that look's going to be coming up very soon, and I'm going to definitely use some of the softer shades in this palette. Do look out for that. Happy I've got it. What do you think of this look? It is slightly different, I feel, to the purples in my Norvina palette. I don't know if you could say, I would say they're softer purples, but I think more girly, more romantic probably. So there's the difference, and these are definitely more rosy pinky shades, and these are definitely more in the purple shades, although this portion of the palette does look similar in tones as some of those shades. I will do some swatch comparisons. The top row is the shades in the Natasha Denona Retro palette, and the shades along the bottom are from the Norvina Volume 5 palette. And although there are a couple of shades that are very similar, there's only really 2, maybe 3. The rest are very different. That's it from me for my first impressions. Very happy. Glad I've got it. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already and would like to see more videos from me. I hope you've all had a beautiful and a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. See you later, guys. Bye.